Hello and welcome back to Actual Play, BALIKBAYAN. We're all just three real messed up individuals right now, and we're coming back from basically. I think every single one of us are having an existential crisis of some sort or another, having to figure out what it means to be ourselves, what our identity really is, uh, and what it means to take control of things and to let go of control. Very good. So yeah, where are we now, Jenny?
Yeah. So you had just created the little god of Tonyo.
Yes,
Yeah, and then so we saw this like disco ball of lights, and each segment is a little eye reaching, moving over.
I have a specific thought, which I kind of read
Ooh.
by Ash. The disco ball is also playing because it's a disco ball, so of course music is coming out of it, and the song that is coming out of it is "Macho Man" by the Village People. So, macho man, I want. Yeah. Anyway, the,
But
the
yeah,
the the lyrics of that song are amazing. If anyone ever
actually, yeah.
wants to
Yeah.
look at them,
That's
and
so good.
yes, so please continue.
Absolutely. So, Tonyo, what does it look like when this little god of Tonyo enters your multiplicity?
Yeah, I think all of the different eyes like coalesce to his hazel brown. And um I think I think the like main thing that happens is that this the like angel version of him that's like absorbing things just like regains the like messy mop of hair and like the like um the like crinkled collar of the shirt that he wears, um um and like it like regains his like weird little like cheeky smile, um and is like, okay, cool, like and this um this process becomes somehow less uncontrolled, um somehow less of a like chaotic storm and more of a more like a vacuum cleaner in some way, um or a or or a whirlpool. um
Yeah, and what happens to the well, I
I
guess
think,
it
and
gives
I
so
think
little,
I'd
but
like
the
to cut
god of
away from I'd like to cut
oh.
away from Tonyo there and just be like,
Hmm.
I like the next time I'm interested in seeing Tonyo is like later on.
Cool,
Um,
cool. Absolutely. Yeah, and then
Nice.
we can figure out what happened to the god, the not so little god of reclamation that
yeah,
was
exactly. That's
that
yeah,
that thought they had the upper hand. Mwahaha. So,
yeah, exactly.
but yeah,
I guess we definitely um see that like the like a hand like on the on Tonyo's like chest, and so like there's that thing of like, you know, like Tonya's not completely in control, but like certainly, like yeah, this is the moment of chaos has passed, right? And whatever was the world's decision has been made about how this turns out, so we can like skip ahead to find out what that was later on.
yeah, I like that a lot. Yeah, and so measure, you see that light leave you, the little god, the program, but next to you, Hangin's body is not moving. Uh, it's completely still, but the entire city is just shifting and responding and changing. You can see that the glass along the sides of the building, um, they're just showing all these different um, images of people who live here, and the buildings and the entire city are trying to respond. And the building is deciding it doesn't want to be a building anymore. The road is deciding it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
want to be a road anymore. There's still like the after effects of that chaos from Tonya are still reverberating, rippling outwards. But at that exact moment next to you, there's just this white, bright line that cuts through, and slowly it opens up to reveal a silhouette. Ezra, what do we see of you and Effie coming through the portal?
I think at first it's more like you think as a mirage, like sort of just like sort of like wispy, sort of like fading in and out. But as it sort of opens up more, the shadowy figure of Ezra sort of is still there. It's more solid though, and it looks like that they are starting to more solidify, congeal. I don't know the right word for this. And
Going
they're
from
back.
insubstantial to corporeal.
Yeah, pretty that thing. Yeah. And it's basically just their back. Like you don't see anything in front of them. You don't see Effie. You just see their back. And like eventually, the last things that fades are the tentacles that actually sort of like fade out like wings, and then they just sort of just fade away. And then the camera turns around. I guess goes around the body of Ezra, and it shows Ezra's holding Effie like against their chest, and it looks in their face, and their face is just like no emotion, but the eyes are completely black.
Absolutely. And so I think Measure, because you've been wanting to turn into a swang for quite a while, I think you can recognize when the protocol has just been activated.
Yeah.
And so the light fades around Ezra, the magic and the machine, the program is still there in the air. What do you do?
I think Ezra is, you know, relieved at first to see to see Ezra return and has survived apparently, right? As I understand it, and I think there's a little yeah. I mean, I think that there's sort of a natural curiosity of wondering because obviously like I realize you know they take in what's just happened and part of them taking in what's just happened is you know is the my understanding that the Duende's sort of you know neutral moves of describe a flash of inspiration and just like sort of the seeing reaching out and seeing things clearly and uh, I I think I would like to lose track of time and focus on the details. And I just sort of like take in everything. I didn't really know Effie before, but I'd certainly seen images of her and I had seen her before. And I think Measure is like you see like Measure's visor kind of process like shows the image of both Ezra and Effie, and they're trying to like basically do an analysis of everything that has changed about Effie and like what's actually become of them because they didn't know. I think they didn't know Ezra before. I don't think they knew Ezra before Ezra became an Aswang. So now they've seen someone before and after, and it's kind of Measure's version of standing there with their jaw hanging open, like like. But instead, it's just like staring in awe and taking in all the stuff. Yeah, can I see like how does Effie look different to Measure now?
Yeah, and like you notice that their skin has this her skin has this unnatural sheen about it. You can see like the her body hasn't fully settled yet. It's still moving and shifting and deciding what it wants to be. But you can see that there are these soft, inky black wings that are starting to form on the sides of her head. You can see like her mouth, her lips are shifting. You assume that her teeth are growing a little larger underneath. She opens her mouth to let out a sign. You see the fang come through for a bit, and her eyes flicker open, and she looks up surprised at Ezra. And Ezra, you realize she didn't think she'd survive the process. Um, but she looks at you and she says, I think you can let me down now, sibling. I think I can stand.
And I think slowly Ezra just like nods, still no emotion in their face, and gently places them on the ground feet 1st.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And Effie lets out this deep sigh and looks around. There used to be more of you, and she looks at. There's this pointed look at Hangin that's like just on the ground, but
Yeah.
you can tell that she's also looking for Tonio. But
And
oh, go ahead.
I think with that, Ezra's gonna look, like, turn around and look, because they don't know exactly what's going on, so they're not.
Yeah, right. They sort of got disappeared. Yeah, I think Measure is still transfixed on Effie, but their hand just sort of points down because like we're on the building across the way, and like
Mhm.
things are still pretty wild, and like the storm of identity is still swirling about, but it's settling down, and it points down to like this energy, this maelstrom that's like getting smaller and smaller as it's congealing around Tonio. Where we entered the building, where we entered the other building, sort of pointing, but still like looking at Effie. Yeah, I mean, I'd like to ask a pointed question because I can, because it's one of my moves.
Yes, 100%. Go ahead.
Does Effie feel sorrow?
Oh.
Or loss? Actually, I don't care about sorrow. Do they feel loss?
Yeah. Over the change, you mean? Like
no, just at all. Are they capable of feeling loss?
Oh.
That's a question.
That is
sir.
a point. That is
It's
a question with a
very
very strong point.
question. Yeah. I only get to ask it. I don't necessarily get to know the answer to it. You tell me if that's beyond my ken, but
I think they can feel it, but they no longer understand that they don't have to. They're so used to things being taken away from them. That she no longer has a concept of that she's allowed to hold on to things.
So she is affected in ways that are beyond just becoming a swang, but like are from just the trauma that she endured up until this point.
Yeah, and I feel like you can sense that because you refuse to feel you up to this point, right? Up until recently, you refuse to feel loss. But it's something that she's very, very intimate with because she lost Ezra. She lost her sense of self. She lost her sense of safety, just all these things over and over again. But yeah, and so she looks at you and she says, and you can tell like her eyes start to like take on this like distant look as she is like studying what's happening to the city. And she says, no, we could make this work. We could use the city against them, knowing their protocols. They're going to send in people soon. And as soon as you hear her say that, there are these huge hovercrafts that come in like thumping through the air. You can tell that the corp is going to send in people.
Right.
And you can hear King George's voice like drifting off in the distance. No matter what you see, don't trust it. Just follow what the corp has told you to do. But the rest gets eaten up by the wind. Mm-hmm.
No, I love it. Yeah, I think Effie was in charge of this part of the city up until now, and I think more. Measure finally walks over to Effie and Ezra, and by doing so is walking away from Hongen, and is leaving Hongen behind, and says, "This was your domain. You must know the ways in and out of it. We need to get Tonio out of there before King George's minions, descend upon us." And so they look to Ezra, to Effie. Again, I think they have to look to both of you. They look to both Effie and Ezra like, about this, but clearly like we need to go do some, some action stunty, high visual special effects, run in there and get Tonio the heck out before.
And Effie looks at you confused and says, "I'm sorry. Are the friends of my sibling cowards?"
How do you mean? I don't think Measure was overly hurt, like overly like upset by that. As like it's like it doesn't seem germane to Measure.
And she says, "We're not going to run away. We're going to hurt the corp. We're going to claim this part of the city. We're not going to be satisfied with scraps or what the corp will leave us." And she turns to you, Ezra. "Aren't we?" And you can tell that she's asking to face down the small army.
I think at this point, like we hear King George's voice say, "She's right. This entire place is surrounded," and like you turn and it's coming out of Tonyo.
Nice.
Is that like that neutral, like, yeah, semi-British like RP accent, and yes, and yeah, Tonyo definitely like has a bit more of like King George's like gauntness, but also has like has a jagged leather hand sewn into the skin around their neck, and like their like ragged, messy like hair is now like kind of slightly floating bad white person dreadlocks.
No.
Like they're like messier and uglier than before.
Yeah.
But yeah, but with like a bit of that like regality to them, and definitely like definitely like says to Measure, "Thank you for your help. We're feeling much better now."
Measure nods, and yeah, I think they're like, yeah, nods, is relieved to see Tonyo. When you refer to yourself as we, there's like a little bit of, there's recognition of this, like it does not escape Measure. And I think they kind of like hold out their palm, and a little like holographic image like pops up, and we see like a bunch of like helicopters and, you know, attack forces sort of like coming in, you know, a grid of what's in the area. And yeah, and we can see that they're being surrounded, and Measure looks to Ezra in particular and says, "If we claim this as ours, we also will become part of it. We have stayed apart from the city. Do you want to join it now? Are you ready to join it now? We can't hold the city and claim it as our own without it becoming part of us. We don't. It will change us too if we stay here." And
Tony definitely like joins in with, "We're not made for war. You have to be the commander."
Yeah. Sorry, Morgan. Putting it on you. Putting it on you. I'm personally fine with either option, but Measure doesn't think it's a decision we can make lightly.
I'm just trying to think of how, real quick, I'm just trying to just think of Ezra's connection with the city itself.
Mm-hmm. You might have answers in your early questions of what you hope for, what you're bonded to, what connects us, those sorts of things.
Dang. Okay. Jeez.
It's a big question.
It is a big question.
It's a really big question. Yeah. And
I think. Okay. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. You go ahead.
No, you go.
Why do you think Morgan and I are like on the same wavelength? Like, he's just been like gasping and reacting to everybody else. I
was
think
just taking a look at the setting elements page as a way of answering this question.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah.
In terms of so we know that the heart connected the bridge. We know that we can interpret signs from it. So far, Miranda, the ad is the first time the heart of the city has really spoken so clearly, and even then, it's So far it's signs. The heart has been sort of like a nebulous thing. So I
Mhm.
think a good way to frame this is, do we want to work with the heart of the city and provide it um, a way to grow more sentient? Do we want to awaken the sleeping dragon and allow it to create new forms,
Mhm.
basically?
I mean, that
Yeah.
seems like
Dragon
what
in
we're
a bikini.
sleeping dragon in bikini. I mean, that's what just one of her forms. Uh, that seems like what we've kind of been doing up until it so far at
Yeah.
time of the city. But it's like, do we hold our ground and keep doing that, or do we?
And I think, like, plot wise, the way we could translate it is, can Ezra and Effie fight to hold back the corp long enough for Measure and Antonio to figure out how to awaken the city safely? If that makes sense. Like, if we need a play at 9.
Yeah. I just need a minute because I'm like, okay.
No, it's really, it's a lot that's happening.
Yeah.
So it's
I think Ezra's gonna be like between Tonio and Measure, and then just glancing at them in silence for a second, and then looking at Effie. And while talking and answering Measure, is still looking at Effie, and is like, "We've been running from the corpse long enough. Let's show them what we have."
And at that, for the first time, Effie smiles in a way that you haven't seen for a long time.
And Little Busters by the Pillows starts playing.
Nice.
Yes.
I think we see all of these you know uh, um, uh, uh, measures holding out that their hand, and there's this holographic image of all of these like attack vehicles coming, right, and they're all specced out in like this faded drab green, and then I think one like thing enters the radar, and it's moving all zigzag and strange, and it's like a bright flashing orange, and it's the little drone of puddles puddles that like Tonio and Ezra sort of gave life to, and it's like cruising in all zigzagging around. And this is my envisionment for how we could fight them, and I think like maybe it's trailed by a couple others. Maybe there's a few others.
I was going to say, like, it's got to have converted other drones in.
Exactly.
Like, yeah.
Right. I don't think it's already like army of drones, but my intent is that between Measure and Ezra, that we could awaken more of the city if Effie and I keep getting names. I'm sorry. Measure and Antonio could awaken more of the city if Effie and Ezra can hold back the forces. And
I'm gonna say that Seg, the android that got some of the Aswang protocol by accident, is riding on top of those drones. Like, I just need that to happen. Like, just leaping from drone to drone. Like, but we see a little bit more of their previous self. Like, they're not just pure murder bot right now. Like,
they're gleeful
now.
Right, because I'm gonna say that Tonio's like little god explosion helped Seg like merge those two things, the murder bot plus their original programming. So and plus the human that they used to be in there. So all of those things are like working together instead of like dominating, right? Yeah. But yeah, so with that, I will set up what it looks like. So all of these huge hovercrafts like land on different parts, like on top of the buildings nearby. You can see like emergency protocols they're trying to set them up, like they're trying to wrap around the buildings, but the buildings are pushing back. They're like, no, I don't want to have to do this, right? So the corp and the city are obviously fighting against each other. They're trying to evacuate people, not for their safety, but as a way to protect themselves against the elementals, basically. But they're pretending it's for people's safety for sure. But you can see like the corp, what they look like is they're just massive. Like you can tell that they're made from parts of the drones, part people. Like they have their entire bodies are covered. Their augments. Some of them look far different. Like their legs are much longer and bent over. Some of them are hunched over. All of them have been built to be able to attack. They have various weapons at their disposal. It looks like there are dozens of them, and there are just more coming in. King George has obviously overreacted, being very unhappy about what happened to parts of them. So
I don't think it's an overreaction. I think it's an I think we are striking a very horrible blow to the city, and yeah, King George needs to eradicate that threat from the King George perspective. It seems like a very measured response.
A very measured response.
Yeah, I know. I love that name drop. But yeah, so
let me put it this way: Measure is not surprised by this response in the least. They think it's this is exactly what they thought King George would do.
Yeah, and I'm going to say, like, Ezra, you can completely, like, just from looking at it, you can see it's going to be hard with just the two of you, but you can manage it, right? That's how powerful you both are as a Swang. Even if Effie is weaker than you, that's why the corp both wants you and is terrified of you, right? You can handle this.
Oh yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
I think Ezra looks at it and like goes to like the edge of the building and just sort of like stares out, and when they start getting into the predator mode, that's what's happening right now. Yeah. They start like get this look in their eyes that they're finding targets, and sort of gets ready for the fight.
Yeah, so I guess my question is, are you going to be careful and hunt your are you going to resort to violence and pain as your tool, or
always?
Yes. All right. Get a token for that.
Yeah.
Tell me what it looks like when Ezra just like rips through.
I think as they get closer, I think Ezra's just jumping off the building and like lands onto, I guess, one of the helicopters, the choppers that flies in, and just tears through the front glass and just annihilates the pilot. And then like the fall of the plane will destroy the rest of them, so they don't care. So they're just going to jump out to the next one, and you just see them starting to like zigzag through as choppers slowly start falling from the sky and crashing onto the buildings below.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say like as they crash in, some parts of the buildings are gonna be like, yes, I want to be fire now. And the fires just start to spread outwards. But tinged by neon.
These inert chemicals being like, I think being a chemical that can oxidize rapidly sounds really fun.
Yeah, 100%. But and I'm gonna say like Effie is slower than you, not as strong as you, but she's moving rapidly from soldier to soldier. You can see she's not used to having this much power. She's doing a little too much. Like she'll grab one, slam them on the ground, and whoops, they go through a few floors of the building. But then she gets back up. So she doesn't know how to balance.
Baby's first murder. It's okay. It's fine.
Yeah. Just totally okay. But you can see like her hair is growing longer. You can see she's actually becoming more lithe, so she can become faster, just moving from target to target. But yeah, so that's what the two of you are doing. How about Tonio and Measure? Like, how are we going to get to the heart of the city and awaken the sleeping dragon? I'm so excited about this.
I'm going to turn to Measure, and I'm going to spend a token, and I'm going to say, we need to be quick. We need to be quick. I was overconfident. I had hubris, and I'm here. And I'm going, and I'm desperate, and I'm going to do something dangerous. And I'm saying all of this in King George's voice. Mm-hmm. So I'm speaking. I'm speaking.
Right. It's clear when you're speaking as Tonio, as the multiplicity that is Tonio, and you're speaking as what you think King George believes, or what you think.
So I'm spending a token to speak true prophecy. King, like wherever the heart of the city is, King George is there, like physically, and desperate and potentially going to do something problematic.
Yeah.
So good. Perfect. And I'm gonna say because of that, you know exactly where
and I'm
it
like,
is.
yeah, and I'm like, but Measure's the one who knows how to actually solve problems, right?
Yeah.
I can be like, ooh, but like,
Yeah.
so I'm like this way, and like I start walking, start strafing towards it
I love it.
until I kind of like regain my sense of, oh, we're supposed to walk forwards, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, you should walk forward. You should walk diagonally forward.
Yeah, I'm gonna say like the
WD
drones
speed.
actually show up to help you. Like the
That's
other
what I was
ones are
imagining.
like,
Is like I almost imagine like us running off the roof, off the top of this roof, and like you're saying, we need to quickly. And this is like the action movie started part of the thing. We like jump off the building, and it looks like we're just gonna like fall to the ground. We land on top of the drones, and they're like flying
yes,
us to the center of the city.
100%.
Like we're
Yeah.
we're,
Yeah.
we're truly flying to the heart of the city.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
And you know,
yeah. And there are parts of the building that are like, yeah, I want to be a bridge or I want to be a wind tunnel, and like
Yeah.
so
You
they're
get some, like,
responding
real,
and helping you.
Inception vibes.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Things are
Yeah.
warping and wild
Yeah,
ways.
things are cascading in this geometric fashion, but there's all this fire around at the same time.
So
It's beautiful.
yeah, fire makes everything beautiful. So my version of how to unleash the city is to fracture King George's image so that every image of King George becomes like you know how you sort of accept them all free, like every image of King George becomes something new, and we never see King George's face again. Like every projection looks different, acts different. Every time King George sort of every time King George presses the PA button to be like, I'm going to talk to the city now, effectively what comes out is just a cacophony of other voices. And those voices are the many small gods that Measure is going to need Tonio to channel. Like, I want to go to the feed and just unleash all the gods into it, which is terrible, but also going to hurt King George.
I'm imagining that that's where like King George's like physical form is like at the button now. So we like,
yeah.
yeah.
And I feel like that location is the big tower that was the end of the light bridge as well, just to sort of bring everything around. The giant tower that was the light bridge that we came on, that we arrived in, is where we're going. And I think it's all of us. Like, Morgan, if this sounds cool to you, Effie and Ezra are, you know, sort of riding with us and protecting us from attack drones as they're coming after us, and all of this stuff. Like, it's, you know, it's through the city, but
you just see these two black shadows just darting past y'all in like various directions, like above, below, you know, parallel, like, and
Just
you just
as-
Oh
see,
yeah.
y'all just see just destruction happening around you.
Yeah, I want to say the special effects team doing good job, getting nominated for sure for some reason.
Yeah.
For this. I think like we just see those shadows, and then there's a moment where it slows down, right? And we see exactly like Ezra and Effie, like it's almost like a dance as they go about it, like super efficient, super destructive, and then it speeds up again, and we just go back to the shadows, darting back and forth. But yeah, and so you move towards this building that was the end of the light bridge last time. Last time you saw it had been destroyed. You realize King George, through their hubris, had made this the center of the sector, the smart sector, thinking they could use it for something. But instead, so the building's there. You can tell that the heart of the city is shifting. All of you are connected to it. You can feel it screaming outwards. And Tonio, you can feel in your multiplicity that King George is just saying, there is no other way. It has to be this. If I survive, that's all that matters.
Yeah, I think, I think we know where this is happening. We know where King George is. I'm imagining some giant sort of palatial room within the top floor of this building, that looks like, what was the character in the second Matrix, who was sort of in control so much
Oh.
stuff. They did.
The architect.
Not the architect, no, like
The
the
Merovingian?
Yeah, the Merovingian. Yeah, like his like giant, like huge room with a big foyer, you know, like I'm just visioning, you know, and this is when we come like crashing through the window, and I'm sure he's got
Well,
like
I was gonna say, like, to get there, I think I like when the city cries out like that, I just kind of go, I'm like, it's okay, take me to them.
Nice.
And like I allow the city to, so I'm
Losing yourself to the city.
losing myself to the city.
Very cool.
Yeah, and I say the way that it looks like losing yourself, you start to take on the same movements as the buildings that are deciding to be different things, which is, you know, just Tonya right now, so things are shifting and moving.
There's a bit where like I move through like part of a building like water. Like,
oh yeah, so good, perfect. Yeah. And Sean, you were describing like so King George is there surrounded by
I'm sure he's got like, or King George has like a zillion lackeys, right? Like there's no shortage of super dangerous henchmen.
So as you get there, you're surprised to see that there are only 3. But you see that one is made of fire, one is crumbling earth, the other moves like the wind, and you recognize it's the parts of Alan's power that were lost and left behind. And so what King George has done is taken each of those aspects of Alan and used it as their bodyguards. And they turn to you all smiles, and you can see the fire flickering off the face, the wind moving their hair. And they say, as long as I survive, that's all that matters. Snaps their fingers, and the remnants of the Dawada rush at you. But before they can hit you, it's just a slow moving moment of Hangin pushing themselves in front of you to take the brunt of the blow.
Oh, Hangin returns for a moment.
What do you do?
Yeah, so I want to find the move that says take elements of another elemental into yourself. How does that work? Because I want to return all of these components to Elon. It won't restore him, but it will be how I can put him to rest.
Oh, definitely. It could be make the machine and its magic sing in perfection, because right now they're like separated and pulled apart.
100%. Yeah. And I think that Hangin, though lost to me, is my best proxy for Alon right now.
Yeah, because you can see Hangin is just Hangin's not really there anymore. It's just the last bit of that hope to protect you that's moving the android right now.
Yeah, and so I think as like the fire like smashed into Hongin. Yes, I would like to let's make sure I have the right screen up for everybody. Cool, I do. I will definitely spend a token to make the machine and its magic sing in perfection. And I think that Hongin, because its connection to Alan kind of starts absorbing the fire into it, and it's destroying the body of Hongin. The fire does not play nice with it, but it nevertheless is contained, begins consuming it, and Measure sort of faces off against the earth with the plan to do the same. But that's, I think, my first my reaction. I don't know if you want to sort of play this out through how granular you'd like to be, but my intent is is for Hangin's android body to sort of take all of these elements into it.
Yeah. No, with a strong move, spending a token, it means that you can definitely it can cover a lot of moves. So you can do it bit by bit. We can just say it happens. The only thing I'm gonna say is that as that happens, you can hear, even though these aspects of Alan are attacking you, you can tell that there are tears just pouring down their face, and they're just saying, please, just let me go. Tonio, what do you do?
I become a pattern in the tiles and then reemerge to stand next to King George. And I look at him and I'm like, you're so perfect, so flawless. And then I turn to Ezra, and I just grab King George by the like collar and throw him onto the ground before Ezra go, this one is empty.
Oh, okay.
I love how we give you so many moral choices, Morgan. Yeah. I love how we're like, here's this horrible decision. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do, Ezra?
And I think I'm just Ezra. As soon as the King George is thrown in front of them, their eyes go black. They sort of fade into that sort of shadow space again, and you just see the shadow just sort of like resort to violence and pain as your tool and like just destroy them bit by bit, tearing into them. Yeah.
Right. And as it happens, you can see how King George is just so shocked that it's happening. Like it never even occurred to them that this was a possibility ever. Tonio, you can feel it resonate in those aspects that are in you. But I think Effie is also going to like help you in this. But there's also this sense in King George, it's the same kind of relief that Effie had. Like, this is over. I don't have to go after perfection anymore. I can stop existing now. And it almost feels like a gift in a sense.
Oh, that's disappointing.
Yeah.
I love that. I love the idea that as you're like tearing King George apart, it's the first person that you've ever killed that was entirely flesh and blood. Right?
Ooh.
Like, this is just a person. There's no cybernetics, there's no magic, there's just perfectly engineered flesh.
Wait, my God.
I think both King George and Allah were trying to hold on to impossible ideals. Allah had the impossible state of nothingness, which you can't hold on to because as you said, Ash, like as soon as anything has happened, now you have new memories, now you have something. Like you have to constantly be never-endingly erasing yourself to have nothingness. And King George was trying to hold on to the notion of like perfection, which is just, you know, an impossible goal to hold on to. So I think that, and they were, in some ways, I think they were sort of diametrically opposed in their extremes, in their absoluteness.
Yeah, 100%. And like as that washes over you, Ezra, because you're not used to someone like this not resisting. But then you see like the blood starts to seep into the ground, but the blood starts moving on its own, like it's following a pattern that's leading towards something. And you realize at the back of this room, there's something like a throne, and it's just sucking in the blood and it's disappearing into it. And the whole building starts to shudder. And there's a voice that says, "Is this how I will awaken? Will it be through blood?" What do you do?
I think Ezra's Morgan's freaked out. Ezra's probably confused.
I think this is the heart talking to us. If that's context.
Yes. To clarify,
I'm imagining like a TARDIS, like the central section of like a TARDIS.
Yes.
Like a big bulbous weird pillar thing.
Yeah, let's say that's hiding behind the throne, right? It's like pulsating.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think there has to be, this heart has been chained, has been purposed, has been repurposed by the city to serve it. And I think what Tonyo and Ezra has sort of shown us is that we have the ability to take what the city has made and controlled and give it back to the heart. And I think all of those sort of communication channels and all of those sort of, all the ways in which King George is sort of disseminated across the city, sort of all the open lines of transit, Measure believes, I want to ask a pointed question, which is how can we give that free communication, free multi-existence throughout the entire city how can we give that to the heart? I think it's here. I think all the tools that we need. I think King George had it. I think it's here.
Oh, that's a good question.
I
feel like we should. Yeah, I was about to ask because Tony.
I have one token left.
Mm-hmm. Ooh.
I'm gonna. So if it's okay, I'm gonna spend that token. I'm going to find the reach down to the pool of blood, smear my finger in it, go up to Measure, and place an X of blood on Measure's forehead. Go up to Ezra, and an X, and take them both, and present them and go, blood is and say, blood, yes, life and death, creation and destruction, and present this, instill in the I want to take these broken parts of the body, and thanks to the little god of reclamation, build them into the thing, and I want to give it faith in the cycle, right? I want to give the city faith in the circle of life, right? I want to make it understand that that things die and things are born.
Yeah,
and static, which is what King George was trying to keep it.
Exactly.
Right?
So King George, King George was all about no, I'm going to live forever, and I'm nah, the opposite.
Yeah, I like that a lot, and there's just this moment where you just hear the beating heart, and then a voice that says, yes, on the other side of pain is hope. On the other side of fear is comfort. On the other side of death is life. On the other side of all of this is freedom for all of us. And you can feel the heart slowly unshackling itself and reaching out towards everyone in the city. And everything fills up with light. And I think maybe this is a good point to go into epilogue mode, unless someone wanted to.
Ooh, yeah.
What do you think? Yeah.
No,
I think one of the really interesting things there is also on the other side of comfort is pain, right? On the other side of life is death as well, right?
Just going back and forth and echoing onto itself and cycling.
Yeah, exactly.
I have very strong spirit vines attacking entering Republic City from Korra vibes. I don't know.
Yes.
But yes. I think the city. I think we've been trying to merge cybernetics and technology with people, and I think we're seeing the reverse, that now people are getting merged with the technology of the city, and so imagining these weird fleshy cybernetic tendrils sort of reaching out through the city in terrifying ways.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say definitely I'm gonna count this as moving towards reborn for sure, revitalizing the heart this way. Yeah, so this will probably inform our epilogue a little bit. So when we mark towards reborn, We choose one of us is revitalized. This could mean a new bond is formed, a hope is realized, etc. We choose to free an enslaved and they join our cause. This could also be what's happening to Alon if we want. One of us strengthens. This one I probably think we probably won't choose, but we temporarily gain access to one form of elemental magic. If we want to be able to use it, though, that's also if it informs the epilogue. So what choice do we want to make?
I would very much like to free Alon, if that sounds cool to all of you, and by doing that, let him die.
Mm-hmm. Right, and so I think
is that cool with you, Morgan?
I like it.
Yeah, everyone looks super excited at the idea.
Cool.
I think with the light, you just hear this sigh from Alan. Yeah, and we're going to go into our epilogue. I kind of want to start with Ezra. If you have an idea for an epilogue, if not, we can come back over. And it's up to you, like how much into the future this is, or if it's just right after. We can go back and forth in time, so don't feel pressured to follow chronological order.
I think it's going to be right, like the city has been reclaimed and it's just now starting to settle. So it's that nice time we're finally able to get that sigh of relief and just be able to live. And I think it's Ezra and Effie standing off to the side, sort of just maybe standing on another building, watching everything happen from above. And they both, I think Ezra's watching and quietly just asks, "So what are you going to do now?"
And Effie says, "Well, there's still much of the corp that is hidden in the shadows, that is still trying to undo what we've done. I'm going to make every single one of them suffer and destroy them. But before I do," and she looks at you, "I'm going to spend time with my sibling."
I think that's when Ezra sort of looks away from looking at the city and just looks at Effie. And there's a slight smirk on their face.
Smallest.
Just the smallest, and like, we could do that.
And she says, "Well, I heard that there's this new coffee shop."
And I think that's where that ends right there.
Nice.
All right, and what do we see of Tonio? Like, I feel like there's like a lot of possibilities there.
Yeah, Tonio's back in the church, and speaking to the church, because the church is now this weird machine gestalt. There's like people who are like built into the walls, including like the priest is like part of the stained glass, and like parts of them are like bone meshed with machine and things like that, and and pipes going in as like arteries that then go through the other people and the rest of the church. And Paul and Tanya's there being like, "Well, we spoke to Oren, and I don't think they're quite ready to get married. So we should probably have a word with his mother, because I think she's because we think that she's being a little hasty, and maybe Jordan is not the right man for him. So I'm going to have a word with his mother, but she's probably going to come and talk to you." And like the church is like between the different like mouths that it has is like that seems like a good idea. He is a very lovely boy, and we wouldn't want to push him into a situation that, right? And there's just this like casual conversation, and then like Tonya like cheerses and like holds up a drink to like one of the mouths of the church, and it's like, "Well, it was lovely catching up with you, and I'll stop by tomorrow." And they're like, "Okay, cool, great, thanks."
And I want to say, like, I just wanted to say Pitt's probably waiting at the entrance, going like, "Tonio, come on, I have so much to show you. I've seen so much since you helped me. Yes, come.
Yes, excellent. And I'm like, oh, Pit, I found another thing you can eat. And like pulls out like just like, I don't know, some eucalyptus or something. And it's like, try this.
It's like, oh, yes. I'm most grateful. And by this point, Pit has like grown way too many limbs.
Yeah.
I was going to
But
say a bit of a eucalyptus tree grows out of Pit.
Yeah.
oh yeah, let's do that. Like once Pit consumes it. So Pit is a happy little you know,
Thing.
yeah, for sure. They're just very, very happy as they are. So and yeah, what do we see of Measure?
Yeah, Ash, if it's okay, I'm gonna bring Tonyo into this scene as well.
Yeah, I like leave this place and like probably come and find you or something.
Yeah, this is a funeral pyre, and it's a sort of a dual pyre. It's a pyre for, we're back in like Goblin Town, but at this point, the line between Goblin Town and the city is basically non-existent.
Is this maybe like at a different time, but in the church?
Yeah, absolutely. The location. I kind of wanted to show. Well, is the church in Goblin? The church is in Goblin Town. Yeah, absolutely.
The church is in Goblin Town.
This is in the church, and what we can see through the like we see through the pastor who is the stained glass. We kind of see that like a lot of the walls and a lot of the divides between the city and Goblin Town are gone now. Some of them have been like physically been overrun in the whole expansion of the heart, but some of them have just like been built over, or there's and there's like bridges between all of them. And there's a pyre, and it's a dual pyre. There's one for Hangen and there's one for Alan, and they're both there. And I think Tonyo is helping Measure like do the final sort of rites, and as like we're about to sort of, as I think as like the flames ignite, because things like to be fired, because fire is pretty. Measure turns to Tonyo and says, "Is there a part of you that is also Alon? Is there a small god of Alon that's within you?"
Yeah, I think there's like a hymn being sung by the many like voices in the walls. Antonio goes, only a small part. A greater part is in you.
Do me a favor, if you would. I know this is against your nature, but for your friend, please never wear his face. Please let me just hold him in my memory.
Yeah, and I think I'm like, yeah, I
because I know that's like saying like I want you to be all of you except it's a little bit, but you know.
No, I think I'm like, that would never be a problem.
Thank you.
Like, because yeah, like the greater part of Alon is in you, not in Tonyo.
Yeah, love it. Cool. That's all Measure needs.
And I think what we see is the last shot is of that bioluminescent raccoon that was there from like a few sessions ago, like crawling over the signs that say Goblin Town, that announce all these new places and these new things and these new areas in it. And the raccoon crawls over it before it jumps down, and we see there's a cloaked figure that reaches out towards the raccoon, and we just see this image of Rule with their mask and the teeth showing and the white hair, and he says they didn't even want to use the gift, but I guess that's okay. And Rule just like puts the hood over his face before disappearing with the raccoon on his shoulder.
Nice.
Yeah,
I need to add one setting element to that. There's like as a crackle.
Yes.
Cough in the back.
Perfect. All right, and that is the end of Balikbayan. Thank you so much, everybody.
Yeah, thank you. That was so
Thank
much
you.
fun.
Oh gosh.
But yeah, so if anybody wants to like help decompress, Morgan, if you want to pass out, that's also we can also cut it short. But yeah, like I'll go ahead and start. I'm just really happy. I really loved how generous everyone was over the whole series, but especially this last session. I appreciated everybody's ideas. I thought they were all absolutely fantastic. But yeah, really cool stuff. So Morgan, how are you feeling though? Like I feel like we should start with you.
Oh, I'm feeling
Quite
great.
late.
This has been a great story. It is late. I am up past my bedtime.
Yeah.
I usually go to bed like an hour before this. I'm like, I'm here. It's there. I'm awake. But I don't work tomorrow, so I can sleep in. Yeah.
Nice.
Woohoo!
Hey,
Perfect.
nice.
Perfect.
Thanks,
Yeah.
US holiday. But
Perfect.
yeah, no, it's been really good. It's been really great. It's been interesting to get into this headspace of like as an Aswang and like being like this deep, dark, edgy character. But it's been fun. I think I've done it well. You know.
Yeah, I thought you were
Yeah.
super fantastic.
And you carried the responsibility for a lot of things, which I think was important to the role. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff that we put on your shoulders of like, what?
Like here you go. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. What are we gonna do? Because it was very clear that Measure and Antonio were absolutely capable of making things like, they're actually capable of making these happen. They're actually incapable of making that decision, like of what to do, and of like, and if we were to do it, they were capable of getting there themselves. Like you had to be there not only to lead them but also to protect them. And I thought that was, I don't know. I was delighted in making you make those hard choices.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, okay, I suppose.
Yeah.
I guess.
Good stuff. But yeah, how was it for you, Ash?
I definitely loved the like just repeatedly punching Sean with Alan. I thought that was great. I was a big fan of like, oh, what if we just beat him up some more? Just emotionally. That sounds good. So I really loved that. I definitely felt like I was definitely like trying not to be like, oh hey, like take too much screen time there, but at the same time I did really enjoy getting to like make Tonyu the fucking weird thing that they are. So that was very cool. And I feel like those were really beautiful epilogues as well.
Yeah, I love seeing the characters in their
100%. I love Little Pit.
states.
Yeah.
Little Pit.
Yeah.
There's always some inconsequential oddball NPC that we love, like so much more than like the major, hero or villain or whatever else. Like it's like the villain's henchman, or so it's always the random character that doesn't carry the weight of the story that we totally fall in love with, because they're just they reflect the human side, or
Yeah.
I also love how much this game allows us to like operate in the like really abstract emotional space. It's really fucking good to be oh yeah, and then like my idea of such and such, right? Like
I think we spend a lot of time being in the heads of our characters, and we can just say like, oh, this is what I'm thinking, this is what I'm believing, and like sometimes that gets reflected outward into the world, but sometimes it's purely our internal headspace, and we can just say what's going on there and share it.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool.
Good game, Jamie.
Yeah, oh my gosh, thank you. Yeah, and Sean, how was it for you? I couldn't resist all the Allen punches. I have to say.
Oh no, please.
There were times when I wanted to say out loud, "How mean do I?" Like when you said the bodyguard thing, I was like, "How mean do I want to be?"
Yeah,
like, I'm gonna pull Allen back into this.
That was so good. No, thank you. And I mean, yes, you could say that you were punching me in the face with Alan over and over again, which is true. But it's also true that you were really acknowledging me as a player having this contribution that I cared about. I wanted a character in the game who couldn't act, right? Like I wanted a character in the game who couldn't go with us, who couldn't do other things, because I wanted the to play through the grieving process of letting someone go and not wanting to do it. And I think that you bring Yal on over and over. Yeah, it was emotionally challenging, but it was also really validating for me because I think when a player is like, I have this cool backstory about my character, and then no one interacts with it, it's like nobody cares. And I think, you know, be a fan of the players, like that you really showed that to me in the way of bringing that um, uh, in a way that really meaningful and like came on screen at this point. So it made the thing that I cared about that and meaningful to have, not just you, but everyone to sort of interact with it. And I think my highlight was really like watching all of our characters have this amazing transformations in this thing. You know, Tonio really went from I to we, right? In this thing. Ezra found another partner, right? Like Measure thought it might be them, but clearly it was not. It was Effie, and I thought it was really cool for Ezra to finally sort of share that, you know, you can't handle this pain, but like clearly Effie could handle the pain because she had been, you know, she had been enduring incredible pain, and the big transformation for Measure was letting go of Alma, and that was a huge deal for them, and letting them be at peace through Hong and through their elemental elements and through just letting them, you know, letting them die and no longer and realizing that Measure was also, you know, not the Sant Elmo that Tonya was, but was also controlling at least manipulating some of these small gods and a bit, you know, keeping on alive. So yeah, that was really rewarding to see those characters like transform into their next, not their final, but their next selves. So.
Yeah. I think my only personal regret is I kept thinking, how am I going to bring in someone to flirt with Ezra? And like, I couldn't like
that would
fit that in.
Oh, I mean, I feel like you did it though. Your goal was to find true love, and it seemed to me like you did, and it was Effie.
This isn't like a regular Disney movie. This is like a Frozen Disney movie.
Yeah, exactly. Like fall in love. I mean, I feel like you know, as much as you could, you really, yeah. I thought it was a beautiful relationship with you and Effie. And
yeah, that was really good. Like I eventually realized that wasn't like the story that we could tell, so I'm like, whatever.
Yeah,
that's fine. I mean, it would have been nice, but like I was like, whatever. And then like familiar like love came up. I was like, all right, we'll go with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I wasn't sure where Effie, like even waking up this morning, I was like, I don't know what Effie's headspace is. So it wasn't until we started like playing that I was like, oh gosh, she's been through a lot. Like so, but I think that's also a huge highlight for me. I really like Ezra and Effie figuring out where they are now versus the past. I thought that was such a good bit of stories. So I really appreciated that. But yeah, so thank you so much,
How about
everybody.
you, Jamie? How was it?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it was so much fun. I had I got to do my typical jammy bullshit of escalating things ridiculously. So that was
great. No, we needed it. It was the finale.
We talked beforehand about like games burning hot, and that game burnt real hot.
Yeah. I mean, it's a finale, so you kind of have to, right? Like,
yeah, I made the mistake once of like scheduling 4 games that had a finale the same week, and I was like, I'm dead. Like by the end of the week, I'm like, I'm dead. So I don't do that anymore. But yeah, I really liked. I just love being surprised. I think that's what I love about this game and the way the moves work. They're so open to interpretation that I'm always happily surprised at how people choose to interpret them. Like I really like the whole the saints using smite the wicked to force this 1 mile radius of like you can be whatever you want to be, and me having a lot of fun with that. That was really great. That was super fun. Yeah, I don't know. I just love seeing everybody interpret the moves differently. And it's just really great to see. I mean, Balikbayan is still in development, but I really felt like it was really coming together well in a way that I'm happy with everybody.
Very nice. Yeah, and we were talking a little bit about like the uh, the the tokens as a measure of how much we're sort of like engaging with the system. And I mean, at, at Antonio went down to 0 at the end, but like all of us were like hovering close by, like we get one, we lose one, get one, lose one. So I felt like we were engaging in that like strong and weak back and forth in a really meaningful way where we're like, yes, I'm inviting pain upon myself. Okay, I want to assert something strongly within fiction. Okay, and I feel like it's that balance between agency and experience of like, give me, give me this horrible experience, or I want to take agency now. And really, I felt like, especially in this session, we were doing a lot of that natural rhythm of going back and forth.
We were talking earlier about the thing where like people hoard potions in a video game and don't use them until like, and so they're at the final boss battle or whatever. And I was like, oh, this is the finale. Spend all your fucking tokens, Ash.
Right. Yep.
And the result
Just
is
go for it.
nonsense.
But it was so good.
Good nonsense.
I love that Warhammer church at the end. I think that was also another highlight for me.
Yeah.
So
When
good.
as soon as you were like the church, like the heart of the city, like reaching out and like, and we were talking about like the church, the technology taking over bodies rather than like and like going the other way around and whatnot. I was like, oh yeah, cool. We end up with the fucking weird like part of the ship, part of the crew bullshit.
So good.
So the talking doors in Labyrinth, right? But like
yeah.
Time to 1,000, right?
One tells the truth and one tells a lie. You don't know which is which.
So good.
All right. Well, we should sign off so that Morgan, you can get to bed. I'm Sean. I use he/him pronouns. I played Measure. That was fantastic. My game Agon just came out. I'm very excited about it. It's out to backers now. It'll be out into retail next month, and the pre-order is still open. Check it out on the Evil Hat site. That's very cool news. And we're about to kickstart Thirsty Sword Lesbians, which I'm very excited about as well. That's April's game of exactly what it sounds like of Thirsty Sword Lesbians. So I'm super excited about that'll be kickstarting next month. So I'm stoked on that. How about you, Morgan?
Hey, I'm Morgan. I played Ezra. My pronouns are they, them, she, her interchangeably. You can find me on all the socials at Serena Bezos. I am a podcaster, a live stream, as Banana Chain calls it, personality, which I was like, I did not realize I was an actual personality now, but okay, I'll go with it. You can find me on the Roleplay Network for podcast work with Power by the Players, Red Death, and they're into the Rolled game right now. You can find me on Utopia TV for an actual play live stream of Kahania, which is a Stars Mean setting within the Quest system. It ran every other Wednesday, so not this upcoming Wednesday, but the following Wednesday. That's it. I do some writing here and there. Just follow me on Twitter. You'll know these things. Okay, thanks. What about you, Ash?
Hi, I'm Ash. You can find me on the socials, on Twitter and itch.io, at Acegiak, ACEGIAK. Include where I just put up one of my uncovered, unearthed game jam. I just put up a Sunless Skies fan game. So that's up there. And my my Doom's timeline for Fate of Cthulhu is coming out sometime once it's finished editing. I'm very hyped for that. So
for that as well.
Look for that because it's gonna be pretty mental. It's a wild time. But yeah, that's me, Jamie.
Hi, so I'm Jamie, they, them pronouns. I got to be the lucky GM for this group. And so I made Balikbayan, but I also make a lot of games. I finally started slowing down a few months ago, but I counted it, and it's more than 40 games on itch. It's a lot. But I was telling Sean, if I get stuck on where I want a game to go, I just make a new game just to help my brain. So I made 4 new games to help me with Balikbayan. Anyway, it's a lot of fun. And to keep up, you can follow me on Twitter at Temporal Hiccup, TEMPORAL Hiccup. It's based on a review my partner wrote about Max Payne at the time shenanigans. So Temporal Hiccup. I'm also Temporal Hiccup on itch.io. My latest release beta that I'm really excited about is Apocalypse Keys. It's my biggest game to date. It's a PBTA game that's basically Hellboy BPRD, but lots of feelings, like way more feelings, very emotional stuff. It's a and some of the moves are just absolutely outrageous. So I'm really excited about that. Yeah. So which will actually, yeah, we'll be playing soon, I think. So it'll be
we're gonna be
fun.
playing on the 20th. So 2 weeks from now, 6 o'clock, 6:30 PST. Join us for some Apocalypse Keys.
So yeah, that's
Very
gonna be
high.
a lot of fun.
Fucking
But
cool
yeah.
game.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I had so much fun. I have so much fun playing Apocalypse Keys. One of my players likes to say, how will Jamie make things worse? Said no one ever. That is Apocalypse Keys for me. So seeking a burning hot, but yeah. So, but anyway, thank you so much, everybody. This is great.
All right. We'll see you all soon. Take care.
Bye.